Buddy, how you doing?
You got the usual nylon, bourbon, cigarettes. We're a little low on cigars. I think somebody's shortchanging us back in in.
See you in about 6 hours.
Hey, you got 10 minutes.
What?
We gotta get out of here before we get stocked in. You got time for a quick drink.
All right, make sure that my guys get 3 cases of bourbon.
An American soldier, William Devane, in World War II England, he's going to fall in love with Vanessa Redgrave, a British nurse. The film is Yanks. Yanks is one of 5 new films we'll be reviewing on Sneak Previews. 2 critics talking about the latest movies in town. This is Roger Ebert, film critic of the Chicago Sun-Times.
Across the aisle from me is Gene Siskel, film critic of the Chicago Tribune. You know, every year at about this time, we get a month called November. It's not exactly the greatest month of the year. Here in Chicago, sleet is the high point, and the movies are just about as dreary. For example, Yanks, and we'll also be looking at Head Over Heels, The Legacy, and Skatetown, USA. But now Gene starts with Running.
When it comes time to list the 10 worst major films of 1979, Roger, we're going to have to remember Running.
I'm going to make a note.
Okay, it's so bad it's a joke. Michael Douglas stars as a guy who's been a quitter all his life. And then one day he decides he's going to try to win the Olympic marathon. But first, in an unemployment line, he has to show us that he's on the side of the little people.
How long have you been waiting?
About 3 hours.
3 hours?
I'm closed now for about 10 minutes.
I don't believe this. I just...
Yeah, lady, hello, excuse me? Hello, lady, excuse me. Hey, fat lady!
Are you referring to me?
What the hell's going on here?
I'm on my break.
Your break, huh? But what about these people? They've been standing in line for hours while you've been stuffing your face with those cookies.
Sir, if you'll just be calm, we'll get to your application right away.
I don't want you to get to my application. I want that lady to open up this window right now.
She's on her break.
These people have paid money into this fund, so they deserve your utmost service and prompt cooperation. And I really resent your condescending attitude around here, you know, because if we were not all out of a job, then you certainly would be.
If you want your benefits...
Honey, take my benefits and shove them where the sun don't shine.
What a cheap scene. Dump on the fat lady, cheer the unemployed. Now, what's worse, that scene has nothing to do with the rest of Running. It's just stuck in there to make us think Michael Douglas is a good guy in this movie. Douglas also is divorced in the film from Susan Anspach. He wants to get back together with her, but she's had it with him, so we see his pain in yet another scene designed to make us sympathize with this guy.
Janet, how do you feel about what I'm doing?
What are you doing?
Running.
Well, it's hardly a lucrative profession with a bright future.
Then you do object.
Michael, you have been running on and off all our married life. I've never objected.
Janet, I'm running in the Olympic trials.
Well, that's wonderful, Michael. I'm really happy for you.
Think I got a chance?
Yeah, I think you have a chance. Yeah, I think you have a damn good chance.
Well, I think that this calls for a celebration, huh? So what do you say? Let's go out and have some Chinese food tonight. Take the kids with us.
Well, not tonight. Tonight.
Why?
I have a date with Howard Grant. Do you remember Howard with the car dealership?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I went to school with him, right? So you've been going out with him for a while, have you?
Well, I was out with him a couple of times.
Well, he's a nice guy.
Yeah, he is.
Okay, I gotta do. I got some training to do. And...
Michael, sorry.
What are you sorry about? I mean, it's not like you're married anymore, is it?
Frankly, I'd rather see a movie about Howard Grant, the car dealer, than Michael Douglas. After that, Michael Douglas trains for the Olympics, and what do you know? He makes the team. Surprise, weren't you?
Amazed, yes.
Yeah. Midway through the big race, a TV commentator tells us that it's not important that you win a marathon, merely that you finish. Can you guess what happens in the race?
Yes, he's listening to the radio.
No. Will he win, or will he just struggle to finish? This movie would like to be a Rocky for joggers. Actually, it's a very cornball movie, the sort of simple-minded picture you get for free on TV, but no one would ever think to charge admission to it.
Unfortunately, Gene, they thought of that very thing at the theater I saw it in.
Yeah.
You know what this movie has? There hasn't been one since the early 60s, the early 70s. Something I used to call a semi-obligatory lyrical interlude. This is the moment in the film when they stop dead. They can't remember what they were going to do next. They don't know what the character is, what his dialogue is, what the story is. So they put a would-be hit song on the soundtrack, and they tell him to run through the park. Well, that does for about 3 minutes. But here, Douglas is running and running and running. He runs for about 4 semi-obligatory lyrical interludes, and then the movie ends. It's just, there's no end to the movie.
It's a very bad one-note film.
It
Will
sure is.
he win the race? And frankly, when he staggers into the stadium near the end of the picture, it is some of the biggest overacting I have ever seen. It's really a quite awful picture.
You know, actually, though, Douglas and Ansbach are good actors. It's just too bad that the direction and the script were just total. They never had anything when they started, and so what could they do with it? The movie we have next is at least a more noble effort, anyway. It's called Head Over Heels, and it is head over heels, all right. It's a backward love story between a lonely guy and a married woman. Now, their adulterous pseudo-affair reflects the typical mainstream courtship of the 70s. That's when your average upwardly mobile dating couple spends all week studying self-help books so they can spend Friday night sitting next to each other speechlessly looking at a movie together. Their dialogue's out of the pages of Cosmopolitan. Now, example, look at this. What are they talking about at dinner in this scene, and what in the world is it supposed to mean?
You could be a cordon bleu chef, you know?
I always wanted to open a little restaurant.
Why didn't you?
I don't know.
You ever make this before?
Nope.
Promise that you'll never make it for anybody but us. Come on, I bought you the chair, didn't I? And you like it, right?
I love it. Well, you shouldn't have.
Oh, I didn't buy it for you. I bought it for me. You won't come over and live with me, right?
Right.
So I have to come over here all the time, right?
Right.
So I need a place to sit, right?
Right.
So it's my chair.
Wrong. Wrong. It's my chair.
No, it's not. It's my chair.
It's my chair.
All right, it's your chair.
Okay.
Oh, what cornball syrupy stuff. Break up the rocking chair, throw her into your arms. That's what to do. During those few moments when this tragically chic couple is sharing the same scene, they're so strange we want to introduce them. Their relationship is shallow, their conversation is pointless. All the characters in this movie spend most of their time in empty conversations like this one, where the hero takes a friend to his mother's house for dinner.
How are your parents, Sam? Where are they living?
Well, my father's living in an apartment on Lee Road, and my mother's still in the house.
Did you hear that, Charles? Sam's parents don't live together.
You knew that, Mom. Sam's parents haven't lived together since Sam and I were in the 8th grade.
I certainly did not know that. Well, that must make you very sad, Sam.
I'm accustomed to it.
Brave boy.
Do you want me to get the food, Mother?
What food?
The turkey.
There isn't any turkey.
Well, whatever it is that you prepared, would you like me to go into the kitchen and get it?
I didn't prepare anything. There isn't any dinner. There isn't any dinner.
I guess the joke's on us.
That's right. The joke's on you.
Yeah. It sure is on you, too, because if there isn't any dinner, why put this scene in the movie when the couple still isn't talking to each other?
Exactly.
The wacky mother there was played by Gloria Graham. Head Over Heels is an annoying love story. Instead of giving us a movie about these lovers, who are they? Why are they in love? We really don't know. The director fills the screen with bickering, crazed characters and sappy embraces.
Yeah, you know, when I see a picture like this with these modern, psychologically troubled characters, I long for the good old days of movie making, not because the romances were so sweet and they always ended happily, but because there were strong characters. Somebody looked somebody in the eye and said, I love you. Somebody said, I can't love you. I'm not allowed to love you. Whatever it was, strong writing. This is
Cary
gibberish.
Grant and Ingrid Bergman, instead of these people saying, do you know what I mean? No, I don't know what you mean. What are you saying to me? You know, the audience is shouting out what they're trying to say to each other.
It's a rip-off of Annie Hall. Woody Allen made a very fine film about couples, but there was some strong positive quality to them. This is just modern gibberish.
You know, what I think about when I look at a movie like this, it's too bad if anybody gets stuck in a movie like this, but if you're stuck there, at least it's not a totally bad movie like Running, which has nothing in it, which is a total failure. This movie doesn't work, but the director, Joan Silver, is trying to do something. She's trying to do something original. We don't know what it is. I don't think she knows what it is, but it's fun to at least sit there and see how it fails, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I still skip it, and you agree, right?
Yeah, don't go to see it. If you find yourself in it, that's how you think about it.
That's how you survive it, maybe. It was only a matter of time, Roger, before a roller disco movie.
You're kidding.
No. As far as the skating goes, it's pretty entertaining, especially if, like me, you've never been to a roller disco or never seen anybody dance on roller skates. For people like me, that roller disco movie, Skatetown, U.S.A., may hold your interest for, say, 20 minutes.
All right, wake up, Skatetown, USA! Hello there, palm trees! Light up, pinballs! Come on, we're gonna get those kilowatts moving in those light bulbs grooving. Let the groove light up, turn, sparkle, and glitter. Open your eyes, snack bars. It's time for the magic to begin. Skaters, I hope you're all having a groovy time.
Some good-looking footage there and some good skating. I'd like to know where that rink was where they shot the picture. Unfortunately, there's a very dumb story here. Just a skating competition ripoff of the Saturday Night Fever dance contest. Who's going to win, the new kid from the valley or the gang leader from the city? This is a summer drive-in movie, really, that looks totally out of place here in November. It's just not classy enough or funny enough.
So we saved you another $3.
Yeah.
One thing about that scene, it did look like fun. I'd never seen a roller disco before, and now I've seen one, and one was enough.
Yeah.
The problem with these guys, though, is once they get off the floor, what are they going to do? We watch that for 20 minutes, then they try to put a plot to it, and they don't know how to say anything except go off the floor and say to a girl or whoever it is, would you like to come back on the floor with me? I mean, it's not a movie.
It's not a movie, and the reason is it's just a gimmick.
Yeah.
All the people that made this picture wanted to do was be the first ones out. So they rushed out a picture, no dialogue, no story really, very simple, 6 weeks, make the first one, not make a good one.
Okay, so they made the first one. Hooray. Our next movie is a haunted house mystery from England named The Legacy. It's one of those movies with a great beginning. Attractive young designer Catherine Ross and her live-in architect, Sam Elliott, have their motorcycle run over by a mysterious stranger in a Rolls Royce. Like all movies about haunted houses, this one is filled with not-so-subtle clues that things are just not quite as they seem. Like, look in this scene when Catherine Ross is summoned to the dying stranger's bedside.
Welcome to you all.
Who is it?
The ring each of you wears is the symbol of power. The power that brings us together. To you, I bequeath my power, my knowledge, and my estate. You may divide them amongst yourselves at my death. Now, Margaret, come to me and receive the blessing of the ring.
I don't believe it. Even after weirdo scenes like that, these characters are continually reassuring each other that things are going to be okay. They keep saying that and saying that, even though we know, and they should surely know by now, that things are never going to be okay in this haunted house. Catherine Ross has stumbled into a group of devil's agents who want her to become one of them, and the legacy is one long hour of wandering in the woods, followed by 30 terrible minutes of bloody special effects. Skip the legacy.
Let me just underline how bloody these special effects are. It's an R-rated picture, and it's awful. We get to see, if you go to see The Legacy, a woman impaled by shards of glass from a mirror, and there's a nice close-up of the glass stuck in her and her bloody face. Also, that nurse we saw, she performs a tracheotomy on a guy, and she's a pretty bad nurse. She cuts open his throat, and we again see a close-up with his throat just split open and blood all over his face. If that weren't enough, we get to see a guy explode in flames, and we get to see him roll around in flames. That's what this picture's about. It's a cheap, rough picture.
Well described, Gene. You know, there are bad movies and bad movies. Some are bad because the people couldn't make a better one. This movie, the only thing in it that had any effort put on it was the special effects. There was no story. The people who made this movie possibly started with the special effects and said, let's put these special effects in a movie. We've got the stake, we've got the tracheotomy, now let's just have people walk around for an hour and shock them with this stuff. Those sound to me like very mean-spirited people.
Yes. Okay, now when I went to see Yanks, I knew it was about World War II and American soldiers falling in love with British women. I also knew it was made by John Schlesinger, the fine English director who's made such top-quality films as Midnight Cowboy and Sunday Bloody Sunday. So, we have John Schlesinger doing a World War II romance. I thought he must have something special he wanted to say, but no, Yanks is a big surprise and disappointment. It's just a simple-minded Hearts and Flowers love story about an older, wiser, more mature couple and a couple of tempestuous young lovers. William Devane and Vanessa Redgrave are the more experienced folks. They have a relaxed, easy relationship. Forget the future. They just want to keep each other company now. He's a supply officer, she's a volunteer nurse, and they have a drink together at a U.S. Army hideaway.
We needed a bar of soap.
What do you say, guys? Hi, Captain. Not bad, huh?
Listen, there's a lot you like.
Top secret indeed.
Well, you don't understand. Wars are not fought with bombs alone.
All right, come on.
What can I do you for, folks?
What are you gonna have?
I'd like a cup of coffee, please.
Not like a bottle of beer, a bottle of cold beer.
Could I have a Coca-Cola as well?
You can have anything we got.
Now, bring me some change, dimes, all right?
I'd love some chocolate.
10-9.
You gotta look at it this way. All of that stuff out there is just going to generals and war correspondents. And all I'm doing is diverting a little of it to the common man.
Democracy in action.
Now you're cooking. Cheers.
Good health. You're not waiting to see if you won.
You know what the odds are against winning? Last guy to beat that machine was Al Capone.
We flew that all the way from Havana, Cuba, you know that?
They're very good together. Unfortunately, there's not enough of the two of them in the picture. More time is spent with a younger couple, Richard Gere and Lisa Eichhorn. She has a boyfriend who's away fighting the war. Meanwhile, she and Richard Gere flirt with running away together to America.
We'll go to Phoenix first. Then we'll take another train down to Tucson. I'll show you the desert in spring. Oh, Jeannie. Flowers on the cactus, so pretty.
I'd like to see that.
Good, we got a date.
It's a long way.
Yeah, it's a long way around the corner sometimes.
I know that. But this is different.
Very sweet. This is one of those star-crossed, mushy relationships, the kind little kids go, yuck, at when they see them kissing on the screen. It's a sappy relationship. And Richard Gere, the guy in that last scene, he strikes me as a handsome but very self-conscious actor, always primping and gesturing in front of the camera. But my biggest complaint with Yanks is that it's a tired retelling of a tired old story There's absolutely nothing fresh about Yanks, and that's shocking. I don't know why the director, John Schlesinger, made it.
Well, I have a clue. There is something fresh about Yanks, and that's the grass and the trees and the vision that he has there. Maybe it was fresh in his memory. This might be something from his
own youth or something.
From his own youth, yeah. And he wanted to go back to it, and once he got back, he had this beautiful set decoration. He had all the props. He had the costumes. What to do with it? Who are the characters? What is their story?
Yes, he really doesn't.
He doesn't know. He just plays around with it. It's beautiful. After a while, it's over.
There's something in common with all the rotten movies on this picture. They all have one big gimmick and then no people. Make a movie about running in the Olympics. Make a movie about shards of glass going into somebody. Make a movie about roller disco. Make a movie about recreating England. But they all forget the people. Maybe they ought to start with the people and then come up with a place to put them.
Or maybe before they start making a movie, they ought to know why they want to make it. I guess, though, that of the 5 movies on this show, none of which we recommend, if you want to take a chance on one of them, certainly in terms of its physical beauty, we'd probably recommend Yanks.
Well, look who's here. You know, I don't know why you showed up now. You should have been here at the top of the show, because we already had our dogs. So look, here's what we're going to do. Roger and I thought we'd try a change of pace. We're going to skip our regular Dog of the Week feature, if it's okay with you, and now we're going to recommend some pictures you should see. We've already talked about all the rotten pictures, but the films you should see are not in the movie theater right now. They're so lousy around right now. The movies we want you to see are on television. In the fall, commercial TV networks, in an effort to get high ratings, cram their primetime schedules full of expensive first-run movies. We're now going to give you reviews of 4 of them coming up in November.
Okay, Gene, let's start with 2 blockbusters coming up on TV, an action comedy named Silver Streak, and a multi-million-dollar World War II extravaganza named A Bridge Too Far. Now, these 2 movies may seem to be very different at first glance, but actually, they're typical of first-run movies on television, and that's because they're both on at the same time. Silver Streak stars Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder as 2 con men trying to avoid the cops on a cross-country passenger train. And Silver Streak will make its television premiere on Thursday, November 15th on CBS.
Stupidest idea I have ever heard. You want to save that girl's life? Then it's this or we're dead. Now take off your jacket. Come on. I can't pass for black. Who you telling? I didn't say I was going to make you black. I said I was going to get you on the train. Now we got to make them cops think you're black. It'll never work. Never. What, are you afraid it won't come off?
Meanwhile, over at NBC, A Bridge Too Far goes so far that it begins November 15th and concludes on the 16th. That's so you can spend 24 hours in suspense if you haven't heard who won World War II. Which one do we recommend? Okay, on the 15th, we say see Silver Streak. It has a great cast. Gene Wilder, confused as ever, Jill Clayburgh, sexy as ever, and Richard Pryor, explosively funny as ever, so see Silver Streak on the 15th. And that leaves the night of the 16th. Now, believe me, it's all right if you missed the first part of A Bridge Too Far, because the second half on the 16th shows you what you missed. The same people doing the same things, only later on in the same movie. Now, A Bridge Too Far, alas, is not a good movie. Should have been renamed A Bridge Too Long.
Absolutely. Okay. Now, later this month, there are 2 more network movie premieres. On Monday, November 19th, CBS TV is presenting The Turning Point, a film about 2 women friends, Anne Bancroft and Shirley MacLaine. Bancroft is a professional ballet dancer. MacLaine gave up dancing to get married. So when they meet again after a few years, they obviously challenge the choices each has made in her life, and the sparks really fly.
You'd walk over anybody and still get a good night's sleep. That's exactly how you got where you are, isn't it?
Also in November, the wonderful George Burns comedy Oh God makes its network TV debut on Sunday, November 25th, also on CBS. It's got a couple of inspired bits of casting. Nice guy singer John Denver plays a nice guy supermarket manager who gets a message from God, played by George Burns. God wants to see John Denver. George Burns is a marvel in the film. He makes us smile every time we see him. The Turning Point and Oh God worth watching? I think so. I like The Turning Point. Even though it's a little goody-goody, I like the way it honors the world of ballet, and I like that it's a film about work and about real families. Those are unusual subjects for movies these days. As for Oh God, it could have been a very silly movie, but it turns out to be a lovely, old-fashioned, funny Hollywood story in which we're gently reminded to love our neighbor and other good things, all done with a very light touch. So make sure you see Oh God on TV. It sure beats forking over $3 or $4 to see any of the new movies we reviewed on this show.
You can say that again. And, Gene, let's go back around and take another look at those films. We began with The Running, rated PG, the laughable saga of a middle-aged marathon runner. Now, neither Gene or I want to jog along with this one, so we give it 2 no's. We thought Head Over Heels was Topsy-Turvy 2, a mixed-up love affair with 2 confused people. 2 no's for that one. And Skatetown, USA was okay for its first few minutes, but then fell flat on its face. 2 no's for that one. Next, we had The Legacy, a dismal, violent, and bloody haunted house picture. 2 big no's for that one. And finally, the beautiful, sentimental, but disappointing Yanks about GIs in war-torn England. 2 reluctant no's for that one. Now, Gene, is this the first show where we both voted no on all 5 films?
I think it is. We certainly had enough dogs for you, didn't we, Spot? See, the problem is we're in that lull between the early fall movies, which are kind of good, and then the big Christmas picture. So November is sort of a cruel month. So much for some movies to see and movies to avoid. Next time on Sneak Previews, we'll review a sports comedy. It has Jonathan Winters and the year's funniest title, The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh. Also, the romantic comedy French Postcards about American college students spending a year in Paris, and The Rose, the new Bette Midler film loosely based on the life of the late rock and roll star Janis Joplin. Until then, see you at the movies.
Funding for Sneak Previews was provided by this station and by other public television stations.